Hi, I'm Allie, and 2 years ago, I introduced the Fruits Basket anime to my husband.
And I'm John, and as an anime only, I'm so stoked to see which of my theories are right.
And which are questionable.
So join us today as we talk about Season 3, Episode 13, See You Again Soon. Alright, so where are we starting?
With my swollen eyes.
Yeah, same.
It's bad.
I literally could barely get through that. So join us today as we talk about, part, because I, started crying.
Yeah, we're, rough city over here. My eyes are swollen, they hurt from watching the episode twice and crying. It was so funny, because when we started the episode, I was like, I don't really know if I'm in a crying mood. We'll see if I cry, and then I sobbed the whole time.
I have never ugly sobbed that hard to a show. You
cried more watching this than you did when we graduated from college and you had to move out.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I do know why, because it was perfect. And it hit everything so well.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. That's the most I've cried in a very I don't even remember when the last time I cried that hard was.
It was intense.
I don't know. I had the hiccup. Anyways. But, so we start out the episode.
Yes, with Kyoru date.
Oh, date. And of course, gotta go to the zoo, first date, classic, a good move. A good move.
And I love that Uotani and Hanajima stuck to their promise of crashing Tohru's date.
And so Kyo was but at the same time, I feel he kind of enjoyed it.
Oh my god. I personally enjoyed it because the humor was just
on
chef's kiss.
Point. But they're talking about all the different animals, and eventually they go to see the cats.
Yeah, Tohru, elephants, giraffes, who cares? Look at these cats, guys! Yeah, get on this page. But yeah, they go to see the cats, and those cats, they aren't interested in Kyo anymore.
Which I think is really interesting, because he kind of had that moment of realization where the cat kind of walked up to him, and he was almost expectant, oh, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
But then nothing happened and it just walked away.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not sadness, it didn't seem but kind of the reality hitting him that it's done. The curse is over, definitively.
Yes. And important to note, speaking of the curse being gone, Kyo is wearing socks.
Ooh.
Yeah, he didn't like socks before. If you look back on any scene of Kyo, he wouldn't even put the backs of his shoes on. He hated being constricted so much that he wouldn't wear socks. He wouldn't put the backs of his shoes on. Mm-hmm. Now he's wearing socks.
Mm-hmm.
And in his graduation photo, which we see later, he's wearing a tie, which he didn't even used to wear the tie. Character development.
Development.
What they're wearing. It's so good.
It is so good. And so later in the good old Kyoru date, Tohru goes to the bathroom, and Hanajima and Uotani have a little moment alone with Kyo. I like this because it very much felt like one of those moments where the boyfriend is alone with the parents for the first time, and they have to have a talk. You know?
Yes, and what a serious talk to have, because Hanajima says, you're going to take her away from us. And, oh man, that hit so hard, because she mentioned back in, I think it was season 1, that she was scared for the day that someone would marry Tohru and take her away. And at the time, Uotani was you're getting ahead of yourself, but now just a year and a half, 2 years later, here we are.
Yeah, and on top of that, I love how Uotani calls Tohru our people, friend, and family.
Mm-hmm.
Because literally, they are the ones giving Kyo their blessing to take Tohru away. Even though Hanajima's kind of ragging on him, and they both were really throughout the entire day. Because Kyoko isn't there to give Kyo her blessing, even though she kind of did too.
Yeah.
It's kind of, the responsibility kind of falls onto those two. And just in reality, I feel having a friend's, your significant other's best friend's blessing is just as important as having their family's blessing.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
True.
Like 100%. If their friends do not like you, then that's a really tough obstacle to overcome. And
yes.
And so, I don't know. I thought that this was a really cute moment.
Yes, speaking of cute moments, that moment when Tohru was picking up all of the beads from the bracelet, oh my gosh. And then Kyo thinks to himself and he says, loving someone isn't simple, it means loving their past and future too, not just the present. And like, speak the truth louder, Kyo, because holy heck.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good, it's so accurate.
This show does something that not really any other show has done that I've experienced personally. I'm sure at some point some other shows have done this, but in terms of things that I've experienced, right?
Mm-hmm.
It hits on these ideas so profoundly and so well when it comes to romantic relationships, platonic friendship, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It gets relationships so well and how to develop healthy relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Because throughout the course of the show, we've seen toxic, we've seen healthy, we've seen kind of in the middle, we've seen uneven footing. And this is the epitome of a healthy relationship. Realizing that if you're going to make a commitment to someone, it's not just who they are in this moment. It's who they are in 25 years and being able to adapt and grow with them to lift each other up. And I think that's so good. And Kyo is just such a good boy.
He's such a good boy. Oh my gosh. Trying not to cry. Let's move on to your favorite boys instead so I don't cry.
We get a Yuki Kakeru moment. Oof.
I love how the little black ranger is just standing between their cups. It is never mentioned. It's never acknowledged. It's just standing there.
I love freaking Kakeru Manabe. He is the mana best.
Mana best.
Oh my goodness. But we learned that Yuki is off to college.
One of his own choosing, not his mother's.
Yow!
Love that for him.
Which is spectacular. And Kakeru is begrudgingly off to college because he was convinced by someone to kind of go. He wasn't really planning on it, but he will. And this leads me to the question. Who twisted his arm to go to college? Could it perhaps be this supposed girlfriend that he might have? We don't know. Because we never see her.
Maybe?
Is she real? Is she from Canada?
That was my joke. You took my joke. You took it. I was gonna say it. Yeah, his girlfriend's in Canada. Don't ask for a picture of her. You won't see one.
I hope someone gets that reference. But yes. So... But Kakeru is also going to college somewhere. I like to think that they are going to the same college and just don't realize it yet. That would be such a funny spin-off. Like, they accidentally become roommates.
Oh my god. Fanfiction writers, go crazy.
And then Machi shows up.
Oh, your favorite girl?
Oh, this scene is just chock full of it.
She's adorable and vicious.
Yes, oh my gosh, she absolutely pummels. She absolutely pummels Kakeru for just pointing out that, you know, adulthood.
Oh my god. No, I want to pummel you. But yes, okay, after that, then we see their little graduation scene and their little photo. And I'm so happy that they adapted this picture because, like, I don't know, there's some things that they didn't adapt. Go read the manga, kids. And
will do, Captain.
Oh my god. But I was really hoping that they would adapt this picture because it's just, oh my god, it gives me so many emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the cherry blossoms, which symbolism time with Allie. Cherry blossoms symbolize change and the fleeting nature of life and a time for renewal, and that's exactly what they're going through. And
We are also going through change.
Yeah.
Don't want to think about it. Fruits Basket isn't ending. It never will.
No, they'll just keep coming out with OVAs. It'll be okay.
Yes.
Oh, speaking of that, if you haven't heard the news, they have announced an OVA. Was it in the episode? No, they announced it in a Twitter post, so you may not know. But yes, they announced an OVA, and it is going to be about Kyoko and Katsuya.
So I'm not frustrated with that lack of information.
Yes. He's gonna read the manga first, so
yes,
will not be like totally anime-only opinions when it comes out in 2022, a year from now.
Yeah, I can't wait that long.
Yeah, just for like a couple chapters.
No. I need the Yuki Kakeru Machi content.
Yeah, and the girlfriend who lives in Canada.
Yes.
Oh my god. But
Does she exist? We'll see. But yes. So then we flash over to Tohru and Kyo cleaning out their rooms.
Yes, and they flash back to her first night at the house when Kyo crashed through the roof. So cute. And his face, I just love his reactions now. Like, Kyo is such a different, I mean, he's not like such a different character, he's still the same character. But like, do you know what I mean? He's
yes,
like older now.
100%. Where it's one of those situations that you have with everyone you meet. Where you think back to when you met them, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, however long it is, and they mention something cringy you did, and you're just like, yeah, that did happen. Thank you for bringing that one up. I appreciate you. Let's forget about it now. I don't want to think about that.
Kyo's like, you have to love the past and the future, and then he's also like, let's forget my past.
Let's just, like, bookmark that one. But yes, so Tohru's calling each of these memories jewels, meant to be treasured.
Yes, and when we heard that, John was like, is that a callback? And then I used my Fruits Basket memory banks, and the only thing I could think of was season 2, episode 17, when Tohru says that Yuki's memories will be shining inside him. But I feel like she said something about jewels at one point.
Yeah, so did I. I was like, this sounds familiar. Like, the jewel comment sounded so familiar. So if we aren't remembering something, then let us know in the comment section down below, because it's really bothering me. Like, the one from season 2, episode 17, like, gives me solace that if that is the one we're thinking of, like, it makes sense. I feel like there's a jewel comment, so let us know, because it's bothering me.
Also, there's like a ridiculous amount of callbacks, and I'm not just talking like the flashback moments, I'm talking like just little nuggets here and there, little Easter eggy kind of things. So like, if you know some of those and we haven't said them, leave it in the comments below.
Yes, please, because I'm sure that we missed probably a lot. Because I couldn't see the screen.
Yeah, me neither.
Through my tears. But I thought it was really interesting when Tohru said, the greater the love, the lonelier the goodbye. Yeah. Because that still kind of shows Tohru is still in that mindset that if you love something, it's still incredibly sad when it goes away or when you have to say goodbye to it. And I love how that's still kind of a part of her character, because that's what happened with Kyoko. Like, it was an incredibly lonely goodbye when she had to say goodbye to her mother, and she still has that mindset. There's still that through line in her character, and I think that that's something that this episode, with a number of the characters, kind of highlights, that their entire worldview has not completely changed in every single way, you know? They still have these nuggets here and there, which I would say that this is kind of a negative worldview that she has, that Kyo wonderfully is like, doesn't have to be lonely.
Yeah, he says, here's the deal. Everyone loves you more than you realize. It'll be okay, I promise. This won't be the last time you see them. It's the beginning of a new banquet. Yes.
So while she's seeing this as a very isolated moment contained within her, he's like, no, we are all still around you.
Yeah.
Like, we are here to lift you up. You will see everyone again. This isn't goodbye. this is, I'll see you again soon.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, it's so great.
We love healthy relationships.
Yes! Oh, so great.
Speaking of the relationships, Yuki and Machi, your fave.
Oh, yes! More Yuki Machi. I honestly thought that they were just gonna leave Yuki and Machi lie after the Kakeru scene. No. Perfect.
I love this scene. I've been waiting ever since you said that you liked Yuji. I've been waiting for this scene because I was like, he's gonna lose it. And we had to watch it 3 times before he entirely understood, because that key is real small. It was hard for you to get it at first.
Well, I didn't understand that he was pretending to throw it.
Oh.
That's the part that, like, because I saw the key. I didn't realize he was pretending to throw it, and I was just, like, kind of confused because I was also, like, emotional. But
there were a lot of tears in her eyes. It's hard to see at that point.
Yeah. But when he goes to throw it, and she's like, no, I was kidding. And he's like, isn't that better? Us being honest. I'm like, calm down, Sasquatch.
Squatch? Oh my god.
Like, you need to chill.
He, like, as he grew into being the person he is, the sass meter just, like, hit new levels. I love Yuki's sass.
He's so wonderful. And I love how sweet it is that he's giving her the key just as, like, peace of mind for her. Mm-hmm. Like, so you know I'm not cheating. You can pop by literally whenever you want. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that, like, he has no intention of cheating, and she doesn't really think that he's cheating, but, like, those intrusive thoughts can always appear. So that's so sweet of him. And I love that. And can we point out Machi's hecking room?
Yes, it's clean. That glass is fixed. And you know she kept that maple leaf bookmark.
Which, ever since developing this relationship with Yuki, she has kind of started becoming more organized. And even though I'm sure maybe imperfections are beneficial to her, and she doesn't like things that are hugely perfect, it doesn't seem to be so all intrusive into her life, you know?
Yeah, it's not to the point where she's living in filth.
Yeah.
Like, she can handle imperfections in other ways, like breaking chalk or walking in snow and leaving little footprints, and she just won't live in garbage anymore.
Yeah, she can live in a clean space. It's not having an adverse effect. Maybe she does still get frustrated. Maybe she does have that anxiety onset when something seems a bit too perfect. Mm-hmm. And having someone who knows, you know, those little habits of hers and being able to recognize and support that, I'm sure has been so good for her, and being able to cope with this so that maybe once he's gone, she'll still be able to cope effectively.
And she says, I'll catch up, I swear. And Yuki says, I'll wait.
And then they kiss.
Yes, I didn't know that this was in the manga because it's like super hidden. Like I did not see it, but it's there. And so that threw me for a loop. I didn't know they kissed again, but it's so sweet. And so now we're in everybody going down the line thinking about this send-off, and we start out with a new looking Ritsu and our girl Kagura too.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but if JRPGs have taught me literally anything, Ritsu got a haircut, and that tends to be a sign of major life changes. And we see this in real life as well, but I think that really use this to illustrate that change in a more visible way for the characters.
Kazuma did it.
Yeah, Kazuma did it. It happened to Rin. And Ritsu's started dressing more Western as well.
But we also learned that Ritsu and Mitsuru are still a thing, super cute, and Shigure quit being a writer, to which Ritsu and Mitsuru excitedly jumped about.
And I guess I never really even processed that Ritsu and Mitsuru were a thing. Like, I just thought that they were friends. But yeah, so that's really cool that I know that now.
Oh my God.
And I'm really happy for Ritsu, because honestly, this is the most development that Ritsu has gotten in the entirety of the show.
Love that for him.
Like, I'm glad that they actually spent a moment on Ritsu. And I'm also stoked that they spent an extra moment on Kagura.
Yes, we love Kagura in this household.
We love Kagura.
I really enjoy that she's such a gossip.
Yes.
She's just like in everybody's business. And she also acknowledges that everybody's pairing up, and that's so lovey-dovey.
Everyone's just so lovey-dovey.
Yeah. And when Ritsu's like, well, I hope that they're happy. Like, I hope they can find happiness. Kagura's like, yeah, right. They're going to be happy. End of story. Which I really appreciated from her.
Yeah, just that it's not a question.
Yeah.
They will be happy. I'm going to put this into the universe. None of that hope stuff.
Yeah.
We're not hoping for it. It is fact. And that's it. End of story. Which is so good because she has had such an interesting arc. While at the beginning of the show, her identity was very much like Kyo.
Mm-hmm.
She's one of the only ones, I think it's her and Momiji, that doesn't have a pairing, like a significant other, from the Zodiac at least. And her growing into herself and being independent and being okay with that independence and wishing happiness for everyone else, I think is so fantastic.
Yeah. And in the next scene, we see Kisa and Hiro, and this is the scene that always makes me, like, if I wasn't crying yet, this is where I start. Every single time I read the manga, this is where I start crying if I wasn't already. So they talk about how Shigure's house will be empty for a bit, but don't worry, it's okay. They're not going to tear it down. Nothing's going to happen to it. And when Kisa starts to cry, Hiro says one of my favorite lines from the entire episode.
Mm-hmm.
Cry all you want tomorrow. There's nothing wrong with that because you love her.
Mm-hmm.
It hits me every time.
It's so pure because I feel like so often people do want to put that brave face on.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, if you see a bunch of smiling faces as you're leaving, they're like happy for you. But I think it almost hits harder when everyone's crying because you know they'll miss you.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, at least for me, I feel like that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
To know that people are sad I'm going, and it gives me more motivation to see them again and go out of my way to see them again. Whereas the other one might fill like your head with, do they even miss me? And they were all pretty happy.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, but this scene was so good.
Yes, and then we move on to Hatsuharu and Momiji and Isuzu.
And Momiji just wants to pinch Kyo.
Yeah, but he can't do it in front of Tohru.
No. And this is a side of Momiji that we haven't seen too much of since season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love that we get to see that. He is that same funny kid.
Super sassy.
Super sassy. And how he wants a sweetheart of his own just to show off to Tohru and Kyo.
Yes, yes, yes. But then on the other side of things, Isuzu starts to get weirded out that everyone is just moving on and acting like nothing ever happened. She's still stuck. They apparently in the sub didn't translate this very well. They just kept saying her, and her. Like, they never said Akito, I guess. I haven't watched the sub yet. I was just hearing people in our Discord. Go join that if you haven't already. But yes, so she's talking about Akito here. And that the mess in her heart just doesn't go away from everything that Akito did to everyone, including Tohru. And she's just moving on like it never happened.
Yeah, and I don't want to talk about this too much because we've talked about this in terms of Rin's character a lot. But I think that this illustrates really well. This isn't like a fully happy ending, tying up all loose knots, like everyone smiling, thumbs up, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They are still struggling through things. And I think that Rin in particular still justifiably has PTSD from everything that has happened to her. Because I'm sure she still does have these intrusive thoughts, those memories. She has those scars, both physical and psychological, that I wouldn't be surprised if that still plagued her for a lot of time to come until she's able to kind of work through that. And that's okay that she's not able to move on immediately like everyone else, because this is a process for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to kind of work through the events that have transpired over the course of their entire lives.
Yeah.
You can't all the time just kind of brush that off and continue moving forward like nothing ever happened. It differs from person to person. And so I really like that they express this through Rin, that these wounds are going to take a while to heal, and maybe she doesn't ever forgive Akito, and that's okay. She doesn't have to like Akito. She doesn't have to say everything you did was okay, it's in the past now. Does she have to work through that and be able to come to terms with those events herself, and hopefully herself begin to move on past that? Yeah, I hope that she's able to do that. But I think that this was a really important thing to illustrate to us.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
And how Haru, because she was insecure about feeling this way, because Momiji and Haru didn't.
Yeah, like, does that make her a worse person?
Yeah, and no, it doesn't at all. You're just working through it in a different way, and what you went through was completely different from what they went through. Yeah. All of it traumatic, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But it's apples to oranges. Like, you can't compare experiences like that, because how we internalize those experiences are going to be completely different, no matter how quote-unquote comparable they are.
Mm-hmm.
And so seeing that Haru is just so supportive and amazing throughout this, saying like, no, I'll always love you. Like, there's nothing that you can ever do that will change that. And supporting her through this is, again, exactly what needs to happen so that maybe she can, in the future, move through this. I don't know, I talked a lot about that because I think it's easy to maybe be like, oh, she should just move on like everyone else has.
Yeah.
And no, she needs to take things at her own pace. And, you know?
Yes. I mean, that's the more human aspect of it. If everybody just moved on, like, all 13 of them were just like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that would be weird.
And it shows that not all happy endings, even though I would call this a happy ending, lack nuance.
Yeah, and everyone's struggling through something.
Mm-hmm.
For most of the characters here, at least the ones that were closest to Tohru, their biggest struggle is the fact that Tohru is leaving,
Mm-hmm.
or that they have to leave Tohru, one of those two.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what they have to overcome, that new change, that new emotion. And Isuzu, who's trying to work through all of these emotions post-trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
It's not easy at all.
Any struggle is hard.
Yes, definitely.
And then Kazuma and Hanajima overhear this conversation, and they start to reflect on how the Zodiac members also have so much to overcome. They're literally just us.
Yeah, like
they're us.
They acknowledge, which I think is so great, that like they're still scared. They're still trying to figure out what's going to happen next, because their whole world has been flipped on its head.
Yeah, very quickly.
Which, I think it's so funny that it's Kazuma and Hanajima.
Yeah, they don't mention this in the anime, but she's now the new, like, live-in cook.
Oh, so she lives there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I thought it was just like a continuation of the joke that she's going to fall in love with Kazuma and be Kyo's mom.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Kunimitsu makes it look like.
So, like, here's my question, though.
Okay.
Did Hanajima know about the curse this whole entire time and just, like, have the foresight to be like, I probably shouldn't bring this up? I don't know why I hear a cat in his head all the time. Like, I don't really want to know. Like, did she just know everything? Because we now know that she can definitively read minds verbatim. Like, did she know the whole time? Because she seems pretty empathetic about the situation that they're going through, and knowing that all of these people are going through a significant change.
You know, I'm gonna tell you, this is something I never really looked into. I don't really know that one.
I feel like she has to know. If she didn't know before, she knows now.
I feel like personally, I feel like she has to.
Yeah, I think she has to know. I think she probably did the whole time. She was just like, not my business. not my business.
I mean, she always knew how to hit the right chords with Kyo.
Yes, literally. It was almost spooky.
Oh,
almost supernatural.
But next on our list, we have Uotani, who gets a phone call from Kurano, who lives in a warehouse, apparently.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, he's like, move right in, I have lots of furniture. And we get the Tororo Soba callback, which is super cute.
Ooh,
love that for them.
She's so happy.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get Aime and Mine, and they want to outfit Kyo, Tohru, and Yuki, and they're putting together a care package.
Yeah, and Mine specifically, she says, it's not always easy when a child leaves the nest. It brings a certain loneliness. And that's kind of what everyone's going through right now. And I feel like that's something that everyone, like as viewers, we can latch onto in this moment, because I mean, we just went through it when you have to move out of where you were living with the people you were living with. And even if it's a happy moment, even if it's like, oh, I get to go live with my partner and I finally get to do this, I've always wanted to do this, it's still a little bit lonely because you're like, I'm gonna miss these people. I used to spend every single day with them. I used to live with them, but now I have to leave. And it's just like a different feeling, and it's very weird and hard to work through because it's happy, but it's like bittersweet.
Yeah. And so having someone like Kyo to be like, everyone loves you. Like, it may feel lonely, but you are surrounded by a community. And having that community is, just in general, having a community of people around you is proven to be very psychologically beneficial.
Yeah.
And so having that person like Kyo, like we talked about, like reminding you that you are not alone in this moment, however lonely it may feel and however scary it may be. Like, you're not alone.
Yeah.
So good.
And also just the community. Like, Tohru has gained so many family members now. All of these people want to come see her and send her off with care packages and love and hugs and messages and just warm wishes. And Aime and Mine are such a great couple to use for that, because they're saying that they're gonna give them food and they're gonna give them maid outfits. Like, just all the little silly little things that they have. But they want to do it with love so that they have those things to carry on with them. And they're so perfect to use that for. Ugh.
Yeah, and even though they're quote-unquote eccentric, I feel like they're some of the most caring people in this show. In their own kind of fun, wacky ways sometimes.
It's how Aime communicates his love.
Yeah. Aime is a gift giver, but it is really fantastic. And so going from that couple to, I'd say, almost the polar opposite, with Hatori and Mayu, was just so fun, because Hatori's going on vacation and Mayu thinks that's hilarious.
Yeah, she's like, that's such a not Hatori thing to do. But I love that they're truly one of the most, like, I don't know, like, grounded and realistic couples in this show, like, especially as adults. I feel like we're viewing it from the lens of, like, being a married couple. And so just, like, the conversations they have and the way that they deliver all of the dialogue that they're having, it's like,
yes,
they're a couple.
Yeah, so I resonated with that moment just, like, really well, because it was just like, yes, that this feels real. But yeah, so, and then we get, finally, Shigure and Akito.
Yeah, Akito is so pretty, and she's becoming more confident with herself and her femininity, which I'm like, go Akito, go girly,
go.
And she's talking about how, like, she doesn't need to go to the send-off tomorrow, because if she wants to go visit Tohru, then she can just go see her.
And I think it's really considerate that she's refraining from going to the send-off, because while it would be very sweet, and I'm sure she'd love to see Tohru off, it might put a sour note for the rest of the people who are going to the send-off, because Rin being a key example, there are hard feelings there to an extent, and that could cause some waves, maybe, that might unduly take away from what the moment is meant to be.
Yeah, and big props to Akito for figuring that out, because from the way that Shigure is talking, it was not his idea. It's totally Akito's. She came up with that.
Yeah.
Big old props.
Yeah, big props. She's becoming emotionally intelligent very quickly.
Big props. And then we move on to Yuki. He's home, and he's ready to make me sob uncontrollably, so...
Yeah. And this is the moment that I was waiting for throughout, like, the entire series.
Mm-hmm.
Was this... I'm not even saying, like, the conversation between Yuki and Tohru. Just that small interaction between Yuki and Kyo, where there was so much understanding, even though they insulted each other, where Yuki says, "Do a good job, stupid cat," and Kyo replies with, "Mind your own business, stupid rat."
Yeah.
I loved that because Yuki's little smile as Kyo walked out of sight, like, there's understanding there. Like, they have reached a middle ground, finally.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish we could see more of their relationship and how that were to move forward, because I think that would be so interesting, because that almost felt brotherly.
Yeah. Oh.
Like, they felt like brothers in that moment. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, there was no venom behind those insults. It was almost endearing.
Yeah, when you grow up and then you finally like your siblings after you fought the entire time you were under your parents' roof.
Yeah, and, like, you'll still insult them, but you know when it's, like, for blood and for, like, good fun.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, that one hit me really hard, and that's when I started feeling like, oh my gosh, here we go.
Here comes the waterworks.
Mm-hmm.
But then Yuki goes to have a private conversation with Tohru, and he gets his last welcome home.
Mm-hmm.
And fun fact, this is one of the first scenes that Takia wrote.
Oh, that's really cool.
She started here. So, yeah, she knew the whole time we were going to end here.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's really cool because now that we've reached this point in the series, I think we talked about this, like, before, but I feel very confident in saying that this show was about Yuki and Tohru.
Mm-hmm.
Like, 100, like, this is the two of their stories.
Yeah.
And I love how, because we haven't seen them together all that much this season.
No, not really.
And so I feel like that was intentional. And I love how this is the climax, is almost them reuniting, their storylines reconverging in this perfect moment.
Yeah, and so then Yuki goes on to talk about how he was weak and he wished for connection and love, but then one day Tohru appeared and granted all of his wishes and just asked for nothing in return. And he's here now because of her.
And he's wanted to tell her this.
Yes.
For such a long time, how she was giving him shelter and love like a mother.
Mm-hmm. And that makes Tohru so happy.
Because she understands what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think, like, Kimi's like, that's weird.
Yeah.
But because Tohru knows exactly what the sentiment means, it's just so amazing how happy this makes her. And seeing that she finally understands what's going on inside his head. Because he hasn't been forthcoming with her.
No, he'll, like, start telling her his emotions, but then he, like, never really quite finishes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, like, super up in the air what his intentions were.
Mm-hmm.
But now she finally gets to, like, figure out, okay, no, like, I helped you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
And he, like, doubles down saying that it's not just me. I think the others feel the same as well. Because she has had such a profound effect on everyone in this show. Literally everyone.
Yeah.
And he needs to tell her that.
Yeah. And then he says the line that I hope I don't get choked up on, but he says, "We'll carry you with us in our thoughts and hearts always, knowing you changed my life." And I love that he says that because it's not just Yuki, like, it's everyone. Like, this is the moment where every single viewer goes like, oh my god, like, I'm going to carry Tohru forever. And my eyes are welling up. Oh my god, okay. But yeah, he like I feel the same way. I have carried Tohru with me like my whole life. I wanted to watch this anime so bad. I wanted to see it get renewed. I wanted to see them redo it and do it the right way with all of the content, because like I have been carrying Tohru my whole life. I read Fruits Basket when I was in elementary school, far too early. But geez, he's right.
Yeah, and I feel like as someone who has just been introduced to this story, I feel like I'm never going to forget it. And so, like you said, he is speaking not only on behalf of the characters in the show, but for literally everyone.
Yeah.
And it's not just Tohru that I feel like we'll carry in our hearts. Like, it's everyone in this show.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's the whole show, but like...
No, yes.
The life lessons that Tohru has taught me. Jeez. And then Tohru finally gets her thank you. Call back to that idiot traveler. And they never got a thank you. And Yuki thanks her not once, not twice, not thrice. 4 times. Big fan.
And finally, I'm so glad, because there were so many moments they could have done this throughout the show.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that they held off until this final moment to have Yuki say her name out loud. And that just hit me so hard.
Yes. And then this whole scene is definitely a callback to season 2, episode 22, when Yuki talks about wanting to thank Tohru for everything just like she would, purely and sincerely. And so in this moment, they show, in season 2, episode 22, they showed the exact same hands and everything, like the outfits. They knew what they were going to put these characters in this moment when Yuki finally said, like, I view you as a mother. So big ol' shout out to Annie on Twitter for pointing this out and also conveniently telling me which episode it was in too. That helped a lot.
Yeah. And then we get a very unexpected flash forward. At least for me.
For you.
Well, yeah. And I thought it was a flashback when I first saw it. Because I saw the little girl running. And I was like, oh my gosh, Tohru. Like, she has the cat and the rat. It wasn't Tohru.
No, it was Tohru's granddaughter.
And I love that she's carrying the cat and the rat, because those are the 2 animals that Tohru was closest to. And how carrying down the family, like the Zodiac isn't seen as this curse, this thing that should never be talked about again. Like, the history of it is kind of moving forward, it looks like, at least in the mythos.
Yeah. And so it looks like Tohru's daughter is making a cake with strawberries, and we all know Tohru loves strawberries when she planted those strawberries with Yuki in the secret base.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh. Is that her daughter or her daughter-in-law?
I don't know. I think it's her daughter, because Tohru has a daughter and 2 sons, I believe.
Okay.
So they have 3 kids.
Okay. So, that makes sense.
One of them, this isn't a spoiler because he's literally on the cover, you get to see in Fruits Basket another, so we should read that. And we will read that.
And I just thought it was so cute how the little girl is so feisty, because she's like, Tohru said I could call her Tohru.
She got all of the Kyo blood in her.
The sass. Oh my gosh.
Yes, and then we get to see them growing old, holding hands, just like she wanted to hold hands when he finally like confessed his love to her. Oh my god. And we see the blue and purple hydrangeas, and this, my friends, is the last symbolism time with Allie. And it's a doozy.
It is a doozy.
So, there is a lot to know about hydrangeas. If you just look them up, you just look up the symbolism of hydrangeas, it's looking pretty bleak. That's because hydrangeas, they change their color based on precipitation or soil pH levels, time, just like a number of factors. And so because they're so inconsistent, they're symbolized as being inconsistent, along with immortal, sadness of impermanence, change of mind, hopeless love. They're even often associated with cheating if you look it up. But then I decided, I shouldn't just trust all of these websites and different resources I'm using that are in English. I'm gonna look it up in Japanese and learn more of the history and where it is today. So it looks like now clusters of hydrangea blossoms are symbolic of enduring love, everlasting friendships, and family bonds. And they've become a symbol of family and just like the perfect flower to give on Mother's Day. And that's because they grow during the rainy season. And there's this saying that it's okay to endure rainy days if it means that a better hydrangea will bloom. And so it's okay to go through hardships because you're gonna come out better at the end. Like, the more you go through, it's rough, it's hard. There's gonna be a lot of rain going on here. But you're gonna come out better because of it.
And that's literally Tohru and Kyo.
Yes.
As they're walking through, married, happy. He looks so much like Kazuma in that.
He does.
He looks so much like Kazuma.
Yes. So I super love that they show all of the clusters and like her being a mother and also like their family bond being so close, like the kids are all there. It's perfect. It's perfect.
And as we move past the final scene,
yes,
we finally get to see the last shelf.
Yes.
And I just want to say,
oh no, I already know what's coming.
I just want to say, we've done it.
We've done it.
We have discovered that Katsuya does indeed have a face.
He has a face.
He has a face.
What does it look like?
An anime man's face.
I love that they showed in a picture of all things. Like,
yeah,
that's how
come on. But we saw the face, and I'm very stoked about the face. And we're gonna learn more about him, apparently.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting, too. But I loved how this shelf has kind of turned into all of their mementos with a bunch of pictures. With like them sharing the scarf and...
Yes. I love that they have one of those digital frames.
Yes.
So that they can put lots and lots of photos, but the one that's on the screen is of them apparently in their senior year when they share the scarf at some point, which is super cute. That we get to see like more of their like year of dating before they moved out.
And it closes on the hat that made all of this possible.
That hat, man. See, that's why I can't watch the 2001 anime because they got rid of the hat. I can't do it. The hat's so important.
Hat? I don't know how you could not have the hat.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Let's just drag it out longer so we don't have to say goodbye.
I mean, it's weird.
Yeah. If you're wondering what's happening next, we don't know either, but we'll come back with more content. I think we were going to do like a reflection video or something like that. We're going to read the Fruits Basket another manga, and we're also going to be reading all of the skipped content in I have the Tokyo Pop version of the manga, so we're going to be reading that.
Yeah.
And I'll make sure that John reads everything, and you can see how the art style evolves. It'll be very fun for you.
That will be fun. But yeah, I think we're planning on doing that kind of season 3, just like our wrap-up thoughts, kind of probably next week.
Yeah.
And so definitely be on the lookout for that. But I don't know, I guess since the series is over now, I guess thank you all, everyone, for kind of joining us.
Yeah.
For this adventure in this show that, like, I don't know.
Yeah. And the conversation doesn't stop here. Obviously, we're going to keep talking about Fruits Basket. That's not going to change.
No.
And if you want to talk more, like, join our Discord. We have a whole entire Fruits Basket channel on there, and if you've never been on a Discord before, we love teaching people how to use it. Our moderators are super amazing. I don't think we've ever given them a shout out before.
No,
like,
they're so great.
Hardcore shout out to them. I always see you in the comments section of these Fruits Basket podcasts. I know you're listening.
But yeah, so, and even if this is your last video that you're listening to of ours, just like from the bottom of our hearts, just like thank you. I don't know. I never thought that it would evolve into what it has.
Yeah, when we started this podcast, we had 123
yeah.
subscribers.
And so it's just absolutely surreal. So, yeah, it doesn't end here. Content, Fruits Basket content coming down the pipeline. I still owe you all a Psychology of Machi video.
Yeah, gotta
and
read the manga.
Probably a lot more Psychology of videos for them as well. Is there any other way that we can just like drag this out?
I mean, just like the episode title. See you again soon.
Definitely.
Yeah.
See you again soon. So, but I guess that'll wrap up this week's episode. And kind of the last episode.
Until the OVA.
Till the OVA of our Fruits Basket podcast.
Yep.
So, thank you all so much for listening. It really means a lot. If you like this kind of content, you want to see more of it coming from this channel, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and why even ring that notification bell so you never miss another upload. And yeah, join our Discord, keep this conversation going, follow us on Twitter. That's probably the best way to keep up with us if you're interested. But as always, we hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, a fantastic rest of your week, and why not even a fantastic rest of your month. And we'll see you soon. Later.
See ya.